Hello there and welcome to the video. So every year I do try and take a few days off to dedicate some time to landscape photography and do a, spring photo trip. And it has become an annual thing that I travel to the land of the cliffs. And this is my day 2 of this year's trip. Enjoy! Well, good morning, if you still can call it morning. It's a little after 11. I did get back quite late last night. It was around midnight before I was back at the cabin. So I kind of needed some rest today, so I just, slept in, had my breakfast, nice shower, and hang out at the cabin for this morning. But before we get lunch, I'm actually going to go out on the cliffs and kind of explore and scout for this evening, when we are once again shooting large format. For even though I finished off all the sheets for the 4x10, I did bring this bad boy with me, the Linhof Technika V. So we're shooting some 4x5 this evening. And I'm just going to go out on the cliffs for a short stroll, for an hour or something like that. And I'm just going to bring my little view catcher to scout for locations, as well as my little Minolta, if I find anything worth photographing. So let's go out and see if we can find anything. Kind of nice seeing some old friends there. First, that building I've tried to photograph for my 2 previous trips. Not quite succeeding, if I'm completely honest with myself. And also those old military structures. And the same could be said about those. Not quite succeeding on my last trip. We'll see if I give it another try this evening. But I must say, I do like this half of the island. The rocks are a lot smoother here. I said the same thing last year. There are a lot of potential here, and it's well worth returning here because there are so many compositions to be had. However, they are very dependent on the light, and as it stands, it doesn't quite work. It's just very flat, but that will change this evening. However, it makes scouting quite hard. I can't look for specific compositions. Instead, I'm looking for general ideas for this evening. I'm going to continue this little stroll and start circling back so I can get some lunch. So these photos turned out better than expected. Not at all as flat looking as I feared out in the field. Instead, there are quite a few that I really liked. And those of the cows might be my favorite images from this trip. But then again, cows are kind of my spirit animal. First exposure of the evening, kind of a simple one, or the first thing that kind of caught my eye. As always, I do find it quite useful to get the first one in. So I was attracted to the rock formations here. They kind of had a nice flow of them going off into the distance there, and then sidelit by the setting sun over there, kind of giving life to it. And to anchor the image, we have a small little pinkish flower down to the left of the image, in a nice little V shape by the rocks there. And I had to stand there for quite a while, partly because I needed a break in the wind, so the flower was still, or as still as possible. And that kind of worked for the first exposure, which was at the f16 and 1/25th of a second. Then I kind of figured, well, I'm going to try it at f11 as well, and 1/50th of a second as well, just to ensure a sharp flower there. And then all of a sudden the sun decided to hide behind some cloud, and I did need that sun to give shape to the landscape here. But yeah, I managed it. So 2 first sheets exposed. We're going to continue wander off and see if we can find something perhaps a bit more exciting. We'll see. Second scene done, 2 exposures this time around as well. First was f16, 1/8 of a second, and the second f22, 1/4 of a second. And once again, it's kind of a grand landscape going on, but this time around I'm using this pool of water here as an anchor with that rock there. And I do think that might work, but this image is all about the flow among the rocks that is so beautifully sidelit by the setting sun now, and they have this nice glow to them. We'll see if it works out. And I do realize I had probably the best conditions the first time I visited this place. This is my 3rd trip here. But the first time I was here, on the first evening, it rained and I got drenched. But it also meant that we had all of these nice black pool of waters, and they do work very well as an entrance point. So attempting that this time around as well. I'm going to hustle a bit, see if I can find one final scene for this evening while we still have some light. So I went ahead and exposed another 2 sheets of this scene here behind me. And you guessed it, it is those spilling amongst the rocks here. They do look brilliant and they are kind of haunting me. I did photograph them the first time I came here and made a quite decent image of them that I am quite fond of. However, the balance was slightly off on that attempt. So I did return the next year and tried again. And got better balance, however, a bit harsh of light. But I made a video that I'm quite proud of. So if you haven't seen it, you know what to watch after this one. Anyhow, this attempt here is quite basic, to be honest. Quite just a straight on shot. This is mostly me trying out a, new lens for me. This is a Fujinon 250mm f6.7 lens. And I bought that to use with my 4x10 camera that I was out with last night. But it sits on a Technika board, so I can use it with this setup as well. So it is my long lens for the Linhof camera now. So I kind of wanted to try it out, so might as well. And that's the last image for this evening. Time to head back to the cabin. When I headed back to the car, I was treated to this nice, colorful sunset. In the past, I might have been quite excited for this, but nowadays I've stopped chasing pretty sunsets. And there are more important things in life than pretty sunsets. And that concludes this year's trip. I spent 3 nights there and had 2 full days of photography, all to myself. And I really enjoyed it. However, I sometimes wish I had some more time and money to devote to landscape photography. But life doesn't currently allow that for me. And I am happy that I at least can go on these short trips and dedicate some time to my hobby. And when I do get a few nice photographs out of it, it makes it even better. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care and bye.